Okay, in this video I'm going to talk about a combination of asteroids which answers a question that many people ask, and I've asked it a lot, and that is, how do you find the one? Okay, now, as I talk about in one of my books, Hayden's Book of Synastry, there is no combination of asteroids which will point you to the so-called perfect person. However, uh, since I wrote that book, I've worked with the asteroids and worked with a lot of aspects and all kinds of things. And actually, there is a cocktail which approaches the one. I call this the BFF combo, best friends forever. Um, I found it by basically looking at synastry charts with in my own charts, where people were just reliable. Didn't matter how many years had passed or what had happened, if you had fought or anything. You just you were always able to go back to them, and they would always come back to you. What did these people have? Well, they had a combination of four asteroids plus a fifth. Um, that fifth would sometimes be Venus, and those asteroids were Juno, Arachne, Armor, and Anneliese. If you look for these four asteroids, conjuncts to them with major planets or with quirky asteroids that the person just happens to emphasize, and if you find these kinds of combinations in conjunct with people, then basically you found a really good combination. Now let me just walk through this chart. So this chart in particular, uh, does it meet the criterion? The criteria. Let's see. Okay, so you've got Arachne right here. This Arachne is near this person's Eros. Okay, Eros is not a classical planet, but it is near Neptune here, within 10 degrees, so that counts. That counts a little bit more than Eros. Armor. You can barely see this here, and I'll zoom in a second. Their armor is on person A's Venus. That's good. Their Anneliese is on person A's Uranus. And their Juno, right here, is on person A's Ceres. Again, it's kind of wide, but it works. Now, person A. Person A's Juno is on person B's vertex. Person A's Anneliese is on person B's Venus. And we'll note that the Venuses actually do come into play, so that's good for the fifth so-called planet, which is important here. And person A's armor is on person B's Pluto. So, oh, and person A's Arachne is on person B's ascendant. This one is a winner. It suggests people who would get together and remain committed pretty much forever. Now, the secret to this BFF cocktail actually lies in the asteroid Arachne. So I'm going to go ahead and zoom in here so you can see a little bit more of what's going on with Arachne. Okay, when I was doing my statistics on the asteroids, I found that Arachne is where you are a source of something in your daily work environment. You can think of it as being the spider, somebody just busily weaving their web. And I asked myself initially why Arachne would figure in BFF combos. The main reason Arachne is part of the whole "is this the one" question, well, the answer to it, is because Arachne is reliable. Among all other asteroids, Arachne is one of the few which is associated with your daily work encounters, and not just work, but your daily encounters. You wake up in the morning, you need to take out the trash, you need to, you know, get ready and iron your clothes and shower and do all that other stuff. Those are daily affairs. And Arachne is basically where you're a source of, I guess, vitamins and minerals, like a fruit. Where Arachne falls in your chart shows where you can be relied on to provide a particular kind of energy in your encounters. So basically, people who have stuff on your Arachne are going to express whatever planet is there or whatever asteroid is there as a part of your daily routine. Just by you waking up and having a normal day, you can count on that person to give you whatever planet is conjunct Arachne. So, for example, person A can count on person B to basically approach new situations with person A in mind every day, all the time. And the tighter the conjunct, the more pronounced this effect is. Person B can count on person A to show passion and to have at least their vibe connect to person B every day, all the time. This is not the strongest combination for daily reliability or support, but it's in there. Now, you also have armor. Armor is where you form great social accompaniment. And let me just talk about the difference between armor and Anneliese. Great social accompaniment means that you and the person can go out there and basically have fun together, or just kind of look like you belong together in some way. But that doesn't mean you belong together as a couple. You can think of friends going out shopping or whatever. If you've got a pronounced armor in the chart, it shows that you two can actually have outings together and look like you're doing something meaningful. Anneliese, on the other hand, is where the two of you look like duo mates. You look like partners. You're not just friends hanging out, but you're actually attached, or you're somehow involved in a friendship or something in some way. If you have armor without Anneliese, you look like you're having fun hanging out, but nobody thinks of you as attached. If you have, well, I won't say that, but the chances of people thinking of you as attached are lower. If you have Anneliese without armor, then you look like a duo, but you may not look like you're having fun together. So these are those standard couples you see where they're biting each other's heads off in public, and you're like, oh, they're so cute as a couple. They're not great social accompaniment to each other, but they do shine as public duo mates. Now, there are lots of combinations of Juno, Arachne, Armor, and Anneliese that you can look at. And what I notice is that if you really, really want the very basic version of this, you can get away with looking only at Juno and Arachne. Armor and Anneliese are more about your public appearance, but they certainly help. Juno, of course, is commitment in the eyes of the world. It's not quite marriage, but it is where the world looks at you and says you two are committed to each other. So if you're committed to each other in public and you are a source of daily support in private, then you got a lot of what you need to be a winning combination. Now, what I've noticed in the charts of a lot of people who are my friends, or who are kind of distant acquaintances, but we get along, but we didn't really commit or attach to each other in a formal way, is that you'll have certain combinations of these, but they will be missing classical planets uh, on either Juno or Arachne, especially Juno. So for example, if you look over here, person A's Juno is on person B's vertex. Vertex is for life changing, but if you remove the vertex, which is not typically a classical planet, then you get a kind of wide conjunct to the node. That's okay, but as you start using higher aspects, this would actually be too wide to count. And in that sense, it's a stretch to remind person A of their commitment to person B. So sometimes in the charts of friends, you'll have a Juno just floating out there. And what that shows, pretend this node isn't here and this vertex isn't here, what that shows is that person A wouldn't really have committed to person B in a formal way. So anyway, take a look at these four. If you want to really identify somebody who is a potential long-term commitment partner, then this this combination of Juno, Arachne, Armor, and Anneliese really gives you a winning combination.